Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of One-on-One with Clay County History, brought to you by the Clay County Historical and Arts Council. My name is Tess Thomas and I'm the media representative for CCHAC and your guide through these stories that bring Clay County to life. Today we're in Brasstown, North Carolina, a small mountain community rich in tradition, craftsmen, and storytelling. Today we're with Johnny Scroggs at the Scroggs Farm Shop, and he is a local voice whose life and work reflect the spirit of this place. Johnny, thank you so much for having us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
We're just going to jump right into your background and your roots here. What's the earliest memory you have of growing up in Brasstown?
I think the earliest memory I have is playing along Jenkins Branch. I was just a little guy, but I lived right down the stream from May Scroggs, who was the wife of Fredo Scroggs. And I would walk up the creek bank and go visit May. And I spent a lot of time playing in the creek, so that's probably my earliest memory is the creek. May Scroggs was the wife of Fredo Scroggs, and technically I guess they're probably cousins of mine. Several Scroggs in Brasstown, and we're either kin or branch kin. And branch kin is an Appalachian term for someone who lives up or down the branch from you.
I never heard that term. Thank you for that. How does your family's history shape the Scroggs farm?
The history of the Scroggs family in Brasstown kind of starts with a man named Nelson Strange. Now, Nelson Strange bought a piece of land that would become downtown Brasstown in 1838. Nelson has two sons. One of them is named William Strange, and he inherits the farm, and he marries a local girl named Mary Jane Green. And he and Mary Jane have one daughter, a girl named Lily Strange, Lily Alloway Strange. And she's the only heir to the family. And her father, William, passes away. I'm not sure under what circumstances, but her mother remarries. Mary Jane remarries a man named William Jenkins, who Jenkins Branch is named after in Brasstown. And their farms kind of got joined together. Well, Lily ends up marrying a Scroggs boy from Hayesville. His name was Lucius Leander Scroggs. And he moves into the Strange home and takes over the farm. And this is the first iteration of the Scroggs farm in Brasstown. And it was Lucius that was, and his wife Lily, and their son Fredo that were instrumental in donating land for the John C. Campbell Folk School to be started in Brasstown. And Lucius's youngest brother was a man named Hamilton Hannibal Scroggs, and he is my great-great-grandfather. And he moves on to the farm as well, and his family. And this is how the Scroggs family made it to Brasstown.
That's pretty long line. I mean, that's early 1800s.
It goes back quite a bit further, but in relation to what we're talking about,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. What does Brasstown mean to you personally?
Oh, Brasstown's home. I was born in Brasstown, so was my father and my grandfather. And I grew up playing in the same creeks and woods that my grandparents did, essentially. Very close with the people here, and it's a special place.
You're so lucky to have that history and the roots, you know.
There's a lot of people who have moved to Brasstown, over the years and have adopted it as home as well, because it is a special place here. It's a unique type of people, a unique type of environment, even for the surrounding areas. It's kind of a close-knit little area.
When did you first realize that preserving the local history was really important and you make it a part of your life?
Well, I've always been interested in history. I mean, ever since I was a little kid. I was fascinated by world history, fascinated by, stories I would read. I read a lot as a kid. I really enjoyed National Geographics as a kid. But when I was in my early 20s, my grandfather had gone to the nursing home. And I moved in with my grandmother to help take care of her. And in doing so, her and I would hang out and talk, and I remember one day specifically, we were going through some old black and white photos that were my family photos, and I would ask her who they were in the photos, and she'd tell me, and we'd write down the names that she could remember on the back of these photos. And I remember just being really fascinated with these old photos and the history of the area. And you know, for me, it's about preserving it for my own family, for my own children. But I find that there's a lot of people that don't really get into their family history until later in life, and I'd really like to see more people, get interested into it before everyone's gone to ask who's in the photos.
Exactly, I feel the same.
I always tell people, write down the names on the backs of the photos if you know them.
Yes.
Because somebody down the line will want to know who they are.
Yeah, I have some photos in our family album that there's no names on. Did you have the Brasstown shop somewhere before you moved it here?
We did. I'd actually started our store here, which we call the Scroggs Farm Shop, on our farm, which was the Neil Hiram farm over on Dog Branch Road in Brasstown. And I'm friends with the guy who owns downtown Brasstown today. And he's an old family friend, and he stopped in one day at our shop, and he says, "Johnny, I really like your shop here, but I think it would do better down by the shops in downtown Brasstown." And he said it sure would be good to have a Scroggs back in Brasstown, at the shops. And I said, "Well, I believe I agree with you." And so later that summer, I ended up moving our store from our farm to what was the Lucius Scroggs farm here in downtown Brasstown. So it's been great, and we've had a real positive response from people too. It's been.
And did you get more customers being in town?
Oh yeah, quite. There's a lot of traffic through here these days, and certainly more than it was up our road on our farm.
Well, before I leave today, I'll get some photos and share it with y'all so that you can see this really quaint shop. I haven't even looked and seen what everything is in here, but we're going to look a little closer. Let's move on a little bit. What do you want visitors to feel when they walk in your store?
Well, my better half, Corinne, curates the store here. And Corinne was the director of the craft shop at the John C. Campbell Folk School for a while. So she has a natural talent and ability for decorating and organizing things in the store. I'm kind of the bull in the china shop around here.
See.
So most of the time she's shooing me out of the way. But she's a trained professional artist, does beautiful artwork herself, and has an eye for arts and crafts. And we try to make sure that people that come into the store are fascinated by what's in here and try to leave with a smile on their face. She's a smiley person as well, so it really helps. But we've had a lot of positive feedback about the store as well, and we try to keep regional artists, local artists, as much as we can in the store. We have various products that are handmade by local folks, and we started doing plants as well. So we have an area for different types of sapling trees, flowers, herbs, and things like that as well.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize Corinne was an artist. We might have to see if she'd be interested in doing an artist spotlight video with us.
She's really good. She really is. Not to just brag on her, but she does some amazing drawings and paintings. She's done several murals in the area. She did one for the Hoppy Trout Brewery in Andrews.
Okay.
Their big mural. She did that one. And a couple more, but she's very talented. She really is.
Well, you'll have to put a bug in her ear and tell her I'm looking for another artist spotlight.
Okay, all right.
Let's talk a little bit about the Appalachian history. Appalachian, did I say it right?
Appalachia.
I saw one of your reels, like if you don't say it right, I'm gonna throw an Appalachian.
Appalachia, yeah.
Why is it important to preserve the Appalachian history through storytelling and artifacts?
Well, I think, nowadays especially, more than ever, it's important to preserve the culture and the history here because, we do have a large influx of people that come seasonally, but a lot of people move here as well. And like with any history, the more you're aware of it, the more you know about it, the more likely you are to care about it, to remember it, and to preserve it. And there's a rich history in southern Appalachia where we live here, and traditions and things that should be preserved. The people that first came here, settled here, in the mid and early 1800s, they brought some unique culture with them from various parts of Europe, mostly Scotch and Scotch-Irish, and some English, and a lot of those traditions come from Europe as well. But I've always thought it was a very unique place here, and I would like to see that culture preserved. So I think the awareness of it is the best way to preserve it.
I believe you're right. What kind of stories from Brasstown are at risk of being forgotten?
Well, I try to share as many as I can, but there's a lot of interesting stories that I've heard that I can't really share publicly. Some of them are either incriminating or something like that,
right,
or too personal. But certainly stories like that. But this area has been rich with people from all over the world because of the John C. Campbell Folk School. Many students have come into the area because of the folk school since early 1920s, and left their mark and have moved here or taken stories from here back to where they're from. So it's like I said, it's kind of a unique situation here compared to some of the local areas, in that we have this influx of people regularly from all over the world.
How do you balance historical accuracy with the warmth of oral tradition?
Well, I try to make things as accurate as I can find. I don't always get it right. Sometimes I get, a little detail wrong or something, and most, the people that watch our videos, if they catch it, they will let me know.
I know that's right. Social media, they're not afraid to say it.
But in doing so, I've learned so much from the viewers, people that chime in, and they'll add a little comment, oh yeah, and that was so-and-so's uncle, or the old store used to be next to that, and this kind of stuff. So really it's real educational for me to learn the feedback that comes from doing the videos that we do on the Scroggs Farm page. But
yeah, he's talking about the Scroggs Farm Facebook page, and I encourage you to go watch. You can get so much information. Just watch his reels, and they're entertaining and educational. I love them.
I share a lot of old photos from the area, and I get these from various sources. Sometimes it's someone will stop in and be like, here's a picture of whatever, and then we also get archival photos from various sources, some from the Historical and Arts Council in Clay County, some from Western Carolina University, University of Asheville, UNCA, and North Carolina State Archives, as well as North Georgia and Eastern Tennessee. I just love old photos. I've always loved them, and it's fascinating for me to see what this area looked like 100 years ago, 150 years ago, or whatever, and to see how it's changed. But we try to share quite a bit of these old photos, and they've had a pretty positive response.
I have found that a lot of times things really have stayed really similar. They haven't changed a whole lot when you get into these rural communities.
Some things, yeah. Some things have stayed the same, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
Change is something that I think has come hard for a lot of native Appalachian people, just out of not wanting to see something that they're familiar with go away.
Right.
Which I totally relate to myself. But there has to be a balance where there's an acceptable growth and a preservation of the history and culture. And so, we try to balance that as good as we can with what we're doing at Scroggs.
It's a fine line, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your music and creative life. How did you start being involved in music?
Well, when I was a kid, I think I was probably about 5 years old. My grandfather had given me a violin, or a fiddle, that was made by a local man, Gordon Paris. And Gordon was friends with my grandfather and was a very neat old man. Gordon was instrumental in the creation of the Tusquity Village. That's off Tusquity Road, just out of Murphy. And Gordon was this, he was an Appalachian genius. He could make all kinds of musical instruments and implements, and he was just really good at making things. And my grandfather had acquired a fiddle that he had made and gave it to me. I believe it was for Christmas when I was probably about 5 years old. Now, I couldn't make anything sound good on this thing, and everybody asked me to play it alone. I wasn't good at it at all. But that was my first introduction into having a music instrument. Later on, when I was a little older, I had borrowed an acoustic guitar from a friend of ours, and I think I borrowed it for the summer, and I was probably 8 or 9 years old, I think. And at the time, there was a local band that played and practiced here in Brasstown called Irons in the Fire. Now, Irons in the Fire was made up of Rob Tiger from Hayesville, Tiger's Department Store, Dave Peters, David Brose, who was the historian at the John C. Campbell Folk School, Thomas Madden played guitar for him for a time, Rebecca Scott was a singer in the group, and later on a lady named Jocelyn Hurst played with them. Milne, I can't remember his first name at the moment, and over the years a few other folks, but these were people that my family knew, and they all knew me from running around Brasstown, and they practiced in this little building that was located where the Crown Restaurant is today in Brasstown. And when I was little, I could hear them play, and I would go up with my guitar and try to sit in and learn something, and most of the time I was in the way, and so, you know, they'd run me off kind of or whatever, and so I'd go around the back of the building and just kind of sit under the back of the building and listen to them, and I would try to pick things out on the guitar, and I wasn't very successful, and it took me a long time to make anything that sounded like music on a musical instrument, but when I was 11, there was a songwriting contest at Clay's Corner, and it was for the Possum Drop, and I had wrote a song about the Possum Drop, and it was kind of based off of the Beverly Hillbillies song.
Okay.
And I had submitted that to Clay Logan, and I won the songwriting competition, and they gave me a trophy, and it was real rough looking with rough sticks and had a possum hanging on it, and it was a pretty good sized trophy, but for an 11-year-old boy, it stuck with me, and after this, I started writing songs and getting more into music, and I played music, in high school, and went on to play in bands, and I've played thousands of shows now at this point. But
what was the name of your band?
The most recent band that I played in was called Dottie, and it's Dottie, and it was a rock band, and it was. We used to meet at my studio in Brasstown, and there was this deer that would come and visit us at the studio, and my neighbor took in injured animals. He took in, if somebody hit a deer with a car or something, and there was a baby with her, they would give him the baby to raise and rehabilitate, and he would just kind of get them going and then let them go. And they would hang around the area there, and there was this one little deer that started coming around, and it was just tame as a dog, really. And my son named the deer Dottie. Well, when it came time to name our band, we didn't have an idea for a band name, so we decided to name the band after this little deer. We named it Dottie.
That's great.
And that's the story of how our band got its name, but. We haven't played in a little while now. I've been busy with my store and life, so
yeah.
It makes you don't make money playing music. You do it for love.
That's right. How has songwriting influenced the way you tell your stories, if at all?
Well, I think there's a rhythm to storytelling for sure, and I know some people that have amazing stories, but their presentation of it can distract you.
Right.
And I think maybe my experience in performing and playing music, being on stage, kind of helps me keep people's attention a little bit. So there's a little bit of an art to storytelling for sure. Yeah.
Have you been in the Lies and Pies storytelling at the Peacock yet?
I have not.
You should probably check it out. It would be fantastic to get you
okay.
in there. Just talk to Canute.
That sounds fun.
Canute Rary?
I don't.
So I'll ask him if I can pass on your information. But basically, people get on stage and they tell the tallest tale they can, and whoever tells the best lie, of course, is the winner and gets bragging rights. But at the same time, the way the pies come in is people bring in homemade pies, and it's a pie contest as well. And then you bid on the pies, and whoever, it's a fundraiser thing for.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes, I think you would be really good at it. You would probably be the new winner, just judging by your reels. How do you think art, music, and history overlap in your view?
Well, I would say they overlap quite a bit. The Appalachian Mountains are full of artists, they're full of musicians, they're full of storytellers, and they certainly are used together to tell a story. Like the Brasstown carvers at the folk school, for example, they carve different types of wooden figures, but a lot of them will have a story behind them. This is old Jack's duck, or
right.
That kind of stuff. And of course, music is storytelling in general anyway. But
you can't really have one without the other two.
Yeah, pretty much, unless it's abstract,
Right.
But not much of the Appalachian music is in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say they definitely overlap.
What makes Brasstown community unique?
The people. The people make it unique. Like I mentioned before, the John C. Campbell Folk School being in the area has allowed an influx of people to come to the area who are particularly interested in Appalachian history and Appalachian culture, which allows the people here to kind of cater to that in a way. And it's been a good way of preserving it. I've known several people throughout my lifetime and my parents' and grandparents' lifetime who have worked at the folk school or had something to do with the folk school in some capacity. And it helped the local people appreciate their own culture in a way, to see that there are people other parts of the world who care about it and want to know about it. And so it's helped the local people kind of emphasize that. And
Make them stand a little taller in the boots.
yeah, it's awareness of a subject really helps preserve it. And I think a lot of Appalachian folks, myself included, there's certain things that we do, things that we say that maybe we take for granted and don't appreciate how much other people know, want to know about it or care about it.
Right.
And I think that awareness is great because there's certain things I say that Corinne will be like, she'll start laughing at me because I said something a funny way or something, and I never crossed my mind that it was funny or there was anything about it, So a lot of times when those kinds of things are brought to our attention, we're like, oh yeah, we do that. I wonder where that came from, or that kind of stuff.
Or a certain word or phrase or something.
Funny words and ways of saying things. I recently made a video about some of the Appalachian dialect and words that we use
and where it came from.
Yeah, and a lot of people that use them don't think about it. They just kind of do it instinctively, and it's not till someone brings it to their attention that they realize that this is unique to this area that is done that way. So that awareness helps preserve it, I think.
You've talked a lot about the John C. Campbell Folk School. Can you tell me how you think that the folk school has influenced your work or influenced the wider local arts community?
Well, Brasstown in itself has kind of grown with the folk school. When the folk school was first founded in 1925, they had a dairy barn, which several local folks milked cows there or worked in the barn in some capacity. They started a creamery, which the milk from the dairy barn would go to the creamery to make butters and stuff at first, and then it branched out to do more dairy products. And a lot of the local folks worked at this creamery as well. The folk school had a lumber mill where a lot of the local folks would get their logs milled there. They had a cannery where people would have their beans and whatever that they needed canned, they could take to the cannery at the folk school. So it was a hub of the community for a long time, in that the community utilized the resources that the folk school had available, and a lot of the jobs and functions of the area were associated with the John C. Campbell Folk School. And today, it's a big source of the tourism to the area, bringing people in, and these people branch out around the area and see what the local neighborhood's like. But the folk school also has a lot of historical information about the area here, old photographs, old artifacts, and things. One that comes to mind is there used to be a Fredo Scroggs general store in Brasstown.
Fredo is his name? Fredo?
Fred O, yeah.
Oh. O is his middle initial.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it stood for Otto. A lot of people have asked me what the O stands for, but it was Fred Otto Scroggs. And Fredo had a store in Brasstown, and he had a bench that sat in front of the store. And the old men would sit out on the bench there, and they'd kind of carve on it and whittle things out of it. And
on the bench?
On the bench itself, yeah. And it was Olive Campbell, who started the John C. Campbell Folk School, had noticed these old men carving on this bench. And it was from this bench that she got the idea of starting a group called the Brasstown Carvers. And several people I've known over the years have become Brasstown Carvers, and but so it was this bench that kind of led to a class being taught at the folk school, and a history of the Brasstown Carvers, which is lengthy at this point.
Yeah.
And their craft pieces are all over the world in various museums now because of it. But Brasstown and the John C. Campbell Folk School have grown together.
Absolutely. What do you think visitors misunderstand about rural Appalachian life? Do you think they come with a preconceived notion and then they're surprised when they see it?
That's a good question. Some people do. There's always been kind of a misconception about Appalachian people in general, and a person who's never been to the South, much less to Appalachia before, probably has a very unique perspective of what it's like here. But some of the most brilliant minds in the United States have come from North Carolina and the other parts of the Appalachians, and not everyone in Appalachia is a moonshine drinking hillbilly with bib overalls on.
Right.
And so I think there's a misconception to some extent about that, but the difference in the way people talk in Appalachia kind of throws off some people as well. But I think it gets misinterpreted as ignorance maybe sometimes, when really it's more of a tradition. Like I said, I've known some brilliant people that have come from this area, gone on to do great things in life and make tremendous contributions to society as a whole. So I'd say the biggest misconception comes from ignorance of people who just don't know anything about Appalachia, or have never been here, never met an Appalachian person. I'll use myself as an example. I don't have a very strong Appalachian accent. And maybe you could tell I'm Southerner or something like that, but not everyone has a real rich
Southern drawl
or a strong Appalachian accent. And for various reasons, but this is one of the reasons why I try to promote Appalachian culture and history, so people can get through some of these misconceptions about what it's like here. But it's a difference in culture more than anything.
Yeah, I enjoyed your reel about rednecks and hillbillies and where that came from.
Yeah,
really interesting. How do you think a small local business helps strengthen the community?
I think small businesses help strengthen all communities.
Right.
Not just in Appalachia or here, but we live in a world that has been privatized, corporate industry, and these are businesses that can afford to cut corners and sell products way cheaper than a mom and pop store, and it's hard to compete with that on a financial level. But I think here in Brasstown, we like at our store, we sell lots of arts and handmade art pieces and crafts and things like this that are unique. So
they're one of a kind.
Yeah,
you can't find it anywhere else.
You can't get one at Walmart cheaper, kind of thing. But I think I have seen kind of a resurgence in people wanting handmade items and wanting something that somebody put some love and effort into rather than just stamped on a machine kind of stuff.
I agree.
But I'm all for small businesses. I'm all for mom and pop stores. I try to use them when I can, and I encourage other people to do the same. There's most of the time these big companies they're not even operated in the United States. They're owned by foreign companies or whatever, and a lot of the money just gets siphoned off to somewhere else. But anytime someone buys a local product or patronizes a local business, that money is staying in their community. It's helping the local schools. It's helping other local businesses. So.
Or just that family.
Yeah.
Helping that family keep food on the table.
Yeah.
It's important. We have a shop local event every year. I can't remember the dates, but I'll see if I can look it up for when it is for this year. I want to say it's closer to the fall so that we can do shopping for Christmas. But we always encourage you to shop your small businesses and not the corporations. So let's say someone visits Scroggs Farm for the first time. What's the one thing you hope they take away from the store?
Well, I hope they leave with a smile. I hope that they see that we love what we do here, that we care about what we're doing, we care about this area, we care about the people in it. We've made, we have people that we've known who come to the store, but we've also made many new friends that come. People who appreciate what we're doing here, appreciate the environment that our store is trying to offer. But we genuinely love what we do, and I hope it shows.
Well, looking around here, I'm saying it does, because it does show. Well, would you like the younger generations to learn about Brasstown's history?
Well, I know from my own children, I try to tell them the stories of myself growing up and my father and grandfather growing up here in Brasstown. It's special to me to be able to take my children to swim in the same swimming hole that I used to swim in as a kid, or same fishing hole, or go find the Indian pottery and artifacts and things like this. But it really is a unique place here in that you have so many people who care so deeply about it and the preservation of it. And it's a tradition I hope that my children carry on as well. I try to give them as much information as I can. They're young and take a small percentage of it in, but
as you repeat it as they're growing, then and hopefully they'll retain it. And not only that, when you have the photos and things that go with it, it'd be easier for them to tell their children and their children.
It's one of the main reasons I do the videos and posting the little pictures, is so that one day down the line, when my kids are more interested in these things, they'll have access to them and be able to hear stories that maybe in 30 years I don't remember. you know,
Right.
or
forgot a few details.
or lost the pictures or whatever,
Right.
this kind of stuff. So I do try to preserve it for those purposes, and you know, in doing so, it's been, like I said, it's been real rewarding to me to share a picture of, you know, an old group of people or something like this from the 1930s, and someone chime in and say, that's a picture of my grandfather
Right.
I've never seen before,
Wow.
or that's my uncle's house, or, you know, stuff like that. It's an awesome thing when this happens.
Yeah.
And you know, it's one of the reasons why I do it, and it's been real rewarding for me to get to help people connect to their own roots around here.
Absolutely. I think it's important work you're doing.
Well, thank you.
What question do you wish people would ask of you more often?
I don't know. I get asked a lot of questions.
Do you?
So I can't,
maybe not any.
Yeah, I can't think of any at the moment. But people, you know, like I said, from doing these videos, people will ask me, well, I live up this road. Can you tell me anything about the history of this farm, or the, you know? And if I know it, I'll share it with them. If I don't know it, I'll look into it if I'm able to, and try to give them some information.
That's awesome.
I'd like to know myself, and so it's almost like problem solving, mystery solving, you know.
Sure, yeah.
And I've always liked that kind of stuff anyway. But as far as a particular question, I can't think
Right.
off the top of my
That's
head
pretty wide range.
one particularly. Yeah.
What keeps you motivated to keep doing this work?
The response, the people. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people about our store, about our pages, you know, sharing history, and knowing that the information is preserved for the future, for my own children.
I think that really is the most important bottom line.
Yeah, it's rewarding what I do. I really enjoy it, and it kind of feeds my own curiosity too. You know, I'm a curious person about history, and it's rewarding. It really is.
Can you just describe Scroggs Farm Shop in one sentence for us?
Well, maybe.
Maybe. That's an honest answer.
The Scroggs Farm Shop today is located on what was the Lucius Leander Scroggs Farm, and in the heart of Brasstown here, along the Brasstown Creek, and we sell handmade arts and crafts. Most of them are made locally or regionally, and we try to promote that. We promote the arts and crafts, and like I said, we do plants as well. A lot of plants are very popular these days, and we also host the Brasstown Farmers Market every Wednesday from 9 to 1, and I have people that come to the farmers market to see us now. It's just really cool, you know. I'm usually busy, but I try to talk to everyone if I'm able to, and we're always glad to make new friends.
So let's talk about if someone wants to contact you. I know that there is a Scroggs Farm Facebook page.
There is. We also have scroggsfarm.com. It's our website.
Okay.
And our store is located at 10956 Old Highway 64 in Brasstown, and we're open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The best way to get a hold of us is to come to the store during those hours.
There you go.
You can also contact us on Facebook Messenger or something like that, or through the email on
the website.
On our website.
Scroggsfarm.com.
Scroggsfarm.com.
All right. Awesome. We're going to take a little bit of a tour through the store here in a minute, but just before we get done with this Q&A part, I wonder if you'll just tell us a funny or interesting story about your family or this area.
Okay. Well, the area where our store is located today was traditionally known as the Pumpkin Patch.
The Pumpkin Patch.
It's called the Pumpkin Patch because we're located right on the Brasstown Creek here, and today, where our store is located, it sits on what was many loads of fill dirt, but at one time it was several feet lower, and the Brasstown Creek was prone to flooding, and it would grow many feet out of bounds, and the only thing you could grow in this area was pumpkins, because the pumpkins would float in the flood and then they'd settle back down
Right.
after the floodwaters went away.
Huh.
So this little spot here was known as the pumpkin patch. But I've got all kinds of stories I could tell you about it. You can check out our Facebook videos for some more.
All right. Anything yet we didn't talk about today? I know we've covered a lot.
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, I just really want to thank you for taking the time and explaining to us about your family history and local Brasstown and Scroggs and how you guys came to be. I appreciate you taking the time to tell us that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate what the Clay County Historical and Arts Council does as well. They've got some great programs, great museums, and some very knowledgeable people.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, this is the Scroggs Farm Shop, and as you can see, it has lots of plants and flowers, local art pieces. These are actually glass pieces made by local artist Larry Haynes. Some of the paperweights and things. We have local made jewelry by a few different people. This is actually a leopard that was made by Mattie Bell Arndt, who used to live right on the corner over here years ago, that we got from her family. We have Coleman Homestead products. They make various types of tinctures and teas and sprays and balms. We have some different types of towels, handmade towels, dish towels. These are pieces of pottery that are made by Julie and Harry Hearn at Turning Point Studio in Brasstown.
Pretty.
Beautiful pieces. We have some blacksmithing made by Paul Garrett, who used to be the resident blacksmith at the John C. Campbell Folk School. We also have some knives that were made by Jack Poltrock, local gentleman. Pieces. These are Brad's barn angels. And
Pretty.
Brad finds these pieces and turns them into these angel shapes, and he's done great with these. We sell several of these neat pieces, you know. But the shop has a lot of kind of folk art to it, and we try to balance it the best we can. Like I said, Corinne is the one who normally handles these kinds of information and stuff. She knows about it more than I do, but we do some local candles. We have, like I said, different types of tinctures and balms and things. And these are actually some drawings that Corinne did over here. These were done in pencil. But,
Oh, you're kidding.
But they look like photographs. I mean, she's a very talented lady.
And this is not going to do it justice on this video. Wow. Pretty.
We also have handmade soaps. There's jellies. These local brooms are made by a friend of mine who makes these brooms. And we try to mix it in with folk art and antiques. We sell a few antiques. We have handmade cutting boards, and these are made locally as well. So
The shop is set up so cute. What about this stuff in the middle?
well, these chairs actually came from the Scroggs house in Hayesville, the house that Frodo Scroggs was born in, and they were caned by a blind person. And
Impressive.
Interesting history too. They really are. But these are for sale as well. My daughter and Corinne made these paper curls, little paper
Pretty.
chains. Yeah, we just got in some new pottery pieces here. They have different themes. Some of them are mushrooms and things like this. And
Morel mushrooms,
we have
yummy
a local
ones.
gentleman who makes these little glass pieces here. Very cute.
Very cute.
He's a sweet old guy as well.
Cute little knickknacks.
And of course the plants. Corinne is crazy about plants, and we have lots of those.
So we got some sun catchers.
We have some prints. These are flower petal prints,
Oh wow.
where they're made with flower petals, but I think these are prints of the flower petals.
I see.
And we have Liz Kelly Pottery. She makes some beautiful stuff. She's a North Carolina potter as well. And then we have little things, little knickknacks and stocking stuffers, birthday presents.
You can do your whole Christmas shopping list right here in this shop.
We have cards that are made locally by a few different artists. Olivia Anderson makes these beautiful photographs of Brasstown, and she has her cards here as well. And then some of these, more decorative handmade cards. A lot of ladies come and get cards to send to people.
Right. Again, an original that nobody's going to have. What do you have? Maybe 5 of the same kind or something?
Give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're restocked. These are some of the pictures. This is actually pictures of Brasstown. These are the cards made by Olivia.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, beautiful pictures of Brasstown. And we're all the time getting additional products and moving stuff in. And
How many local artists do you think you have in here?
I don't know off the top of my head. That'd be a good question for Corinne.
Okay.
But several.
Yeah.
Several.
I love that you support the local artists. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for this tour.
About.
It's been amazing. Appreciate you. All right, so I want to remind you today that this season's media was brought to you and made possible by a grant from the NC Arts Council, which is a division of the Natural and Cultural Resources, a state agency. Also, we are operating on a grant from Granny's Attic in Hayesville, North Carolina. So we want to thank both of them, and thank you all for staying tuned and then listen a little bit more about Scroggs Farm. And please visit our website. It's clayhistoryartsnc.org. You can email me if you or someone you know is interested in being in an artist spotlight video or a video like we did today with Johnny, a one-on-one with Clay County History. And some news, something that's in the works right now, literally just found this out today. They have approval to start a new tab on the website. And this is going to be for people that live in Clay County now that have not lived here their whole life. Like they don't have generationals. We're not sure what we're going to call it yet, but it might be something like Clay County Newcomers or Planting Seeds in Clay County after, I don't know, we haven't decided on the name of it, but so keep that in mind. If you're an artist that's not from Clay County, you just give us an email at cchacHayesville@outlook.com. I'm Tess Thomas. This is Johnny Scroggs. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.